Welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. We beat Manchester City. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. It's the first time we've beaten Manchester City since 2015. It's the first time we've beaten Manchester City as reigning champions. We have never done that. We've never beaten a team as reigning champions since we beat Leicester City way back in 2017. Arsenal have done the unthinkable. We have done the undoable. We've done what no one was expecting us to do. We have gone and beaten Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium in a fashion that embarrassed Manchester City, in a fashion that gave them no chance. They had four shots on goal, they had one on target, and Erling Haaland had an XG of 0.00. Big performance, huge performance. It's one of those performances where, you know, you've got to bounce back from the Lens game, but then you've also got to focus on not losing a lot with a lot of goals with a big goal difference. And what we saw yesterday, a masterclass from Mikel Arteta, a masterclass from Gabriel Martinelli, a beautiful performance from Declan Rice, and the two centre-backs were absolutely world-class. They played at the best level, and I think Gary Neville talked about it yesterday, that if this Arsenal team can maintain their centre-back partnership, if the two centre-backs can actually, keep together, they are going to win the league, because that is the difference, and that was the difference earlier on in the game between Arsenal and Manchester City. When the rest of the team was a little bit down and was growing into the game, William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes were on top of their games. They were beautifully, playing the best football you could ever find them playing. And it's really interesting how the two of them had a very, very bad game in midweek, and they've had the best game against Manchester City. And really, the Lens game now really doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let me know who was your man of the match. I'm reacting to this the morning after, just because I didn't get the words to say when we had just beaten them. It was very hard to react to that game. But so talk to me. Who was your man of the match? Gabriel Magalhaes, definitely one of them on the contenders. Ben White is the other as well. Had a very good game. Ben had a very, very good game. Gabriel Martinelli, who was voted man of the match by Sky Sports, I felt it was really, really deserved as well. Ben had a very good game. And Declan Rice, right? Martinelli, Rice, Ben White, and Gabriel Magalhaes. Tell me who was your man of the match, and probably why, because it was a game where it was a little bit tight, and it was a game of few chances. It was a game of a couple of mistakes, but Arsenal literally, we ran away with it. We're going to talk about the referee, because I thought the first incident is a red card. The second one, probably because it's not given the first one, it should be a red card as well. It should be a bookable offense, and Kovacic should be coming off in that game, especially on the first tackle. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about all about that. Do you think the referee cheated us by not, sending Kovacic off earlier on in the game? We could have played this Manchester City side with 10 men, and it could have been a very, very different game. But let's dive into it. Let's get into the reaction. So first and foremost, I thought Mikel Arteta today and yesterday had an absolute masterclass of a performance. He had a very good day in office, and he's going to feel proud of himself, and he will feel very, very happy with himself. Now, going with Jorginho in midfield and going with Edin Ketia, I was really rumbling. I was disgruntled. I wasn't happy with the selection of Edin Ketia, and I wasn't so happy with the selection of Jorginho. But I thought, when I saw the game, first 10 minutes, I understood why Jorginho started, and I understood why he played him alongside Declan Rice. So literally, because you have Alexander Zinchenko, who's going to be targeted a lot of the time, Declan Rice was going to be, that kind of guy that literally drops deep to help out Alexander Zinchenko. And Jorginho then had to keep the midfield going. He had to keep things ticking, and he had to lead the ball progression with Alexander Zinchenko. And that actually worked out very, very well. That was a plan that Manchester City actually did not see. That was a plan that, Pep Guardiola didn't see, right? I think the addition of Declan Rice that now makes more sense than ever. He's now becoming one of those players that you can easily tactically tweak, and he will give you something very, very different and something very good. So the lineup was spot on, absolutely spot on. I don't think Eddie really did a lot, but I think what Mika wanted is players that work their socks off, players that work their, work with all their might, work with all their energy, and that's what Eddie brings to the table. He works very hard, the same as Odegaard, the same as Gabriel Jesus. So in the end, it meant that we had three players that really pressed with a lot of intensity and a lot of pressure. That is Eddie, Jesus, and Martin Odegaard. And you could see that Manchester City had a lot of problems building out from the back, to an extent that there was a time where Ederson was literally playing the ball over the top. And that is one way you beat Man City. You've got to disorganize their agenda. You've got to stop their agenda. And Arsenal absolutely did that, especially in the second half. Now, the mistakes from David Raya could have cost us the game, and I'm not going to say much about them, but I'll talk about them earlier on in the video. They could have cost us the game. The Julian Alvarez one, he's a confident goalkeeper. I don't have a problem with that, but he's got to get that ball away quicker. And in such games, again, you've got to distribute much better. You've got to find your fellow teammates much better, much quicker, and very, very cleanly. He must be a clean goalkeeper. He's got to be a cleaner goalkeeper. And it was a game of mistakes, but it was a game of fine margins. Declan Rice cleared one off the line. I think Nathan Ake missed one that went over the bar. I think, again, it was David Raya closing him down. And then I also thought, Gabriel Jesus had a very good chance to cut it back for Declan Rice, which he didn't, and then the goal. Those were the 4 opportunities in the game. Those were the 4 chances in the game. So it was a game of 5 margins, and a mistake could have cost us. If Julian Alvarez or Man City score within the first 6 minutes or 10 minutes of that game, it becomes a different game. They become confident. We know they are very defensively astute, and the best we could have gotten out of the game was a draw. So I thought the mistakes, we could talk about them, and we've got to do better. We've really, really got to do much better in terms of, clearing the ball, clearing our lines, and being very, very good. So the positives, and I thought on the evening, the positives were many. What this game means, and what literally that performance we put out there means, is we have graduated. We have graduated to the level of Man City. We have graduated to a level where we can beat any Premier League team in the league. Now, Arsenal have played, and under Mikel Arteta, we played 24 teams. We have beaten 23, and only Man City are the 24th team that we have not yet beaten. That code has cracked. That code has been, cracked. And I think Mikel Arteta will be going home thinking, we have beaten Manchester City. We have gotten the better of them. Now we can actually go and, win the league. Because that is the one thing that we didn't have in our confidence bank. That is the only credit alert we were waiting for. And the bank has just released a bank statement that has been deposited. I think if Arsenal don't win the league this season, if we don't win the league this campaign, after beating City, last season we beat Liverpool, this season we beat Man United as well, last season we beat Tottenham. Now it will be a difficult task for us to win it next campaign, or even the campaigns to come. We have done what we had to do. Beat Manchester City, get the better of them. Confidence-wise, it's a massive one. It's a really, really huge one. Because imagine Arsenal lose to Man City and we go 4 points below them. That would drain this team. That would massively drain this team. One, it would feel like we are really not at the level of Man City. They could beat us without Rodri and Gabriel and Kevin De Bruyne. Secondly, it would also mean that they're way ahead of us, right? And that's what Mikel Arteta doesn't want. And he's talked about it before in his press conference. If you cannot win the game, don't lose, right? That is his philosophy. If you cannot win the game, don't lose. And yesterday, tactically, I thought that was his intention, right? You could see very few chances from Arsenal. Our XG, again, very low. Almost as the same as Erling Haaland. But when we get that one moment, City know it's over. The fans at Arsenal and the Arsenal end know it's over. Arsenal have won the game. It's the philosophy Mikel is implementing. If you cannot win it, don't lose it. But if you can win it, then you've got to pick up the 3 points and you've got to actually walk away with them. So for me, guys, this is a this is a big confidence booster for the team. The lads are young, they need motivation, and it doesn't come better than that. It doesn't come better than beating Man United and Manchester City in the first 8 games of the campaign. Literally, that means that you only have Liverpool to worry about. For me, that's the only truth. We've got Liverpool only to worry about. You could beat Newcastle, you can beat Brighton, we can beat Brentford, we can beat all these other teams. The only team we could focus on, and we had to focus on, was Manchester City and Man United, because those are the 2 teams that always bring that kind of vibe, and maybe Liverpool as well, right? So after beating these 2, Arsenal could draw against Liverpool at Anfield, or pick up a point. If we can pick up a point at Anfield and then continue that unbeaten run, if we can go around 19 games unbeaten, just like we did last campaign, and then start turning the corner, the big lessons are going to be turning the corner. Those are the big lessons. When we turn the corner, what is gonna happen, right? Can we put in these performances? Can we win games like this? Can we be strong? Can we be brave? That's what we didn't do last campaign. So can we do it this campaign? I think really we've not started off very well as a club in terms of performances, but we've started off very well in terms of wins and points and scoring goals. Brighton have scored 21 goals, 21, I think 21 this campaign. They are the highest scoring side in the league. And then Arsenal have scored around 16. So we have scored 5 goals less than Brighton, who are the top scorers in the league. But then we have only conceded 6. So we have a healthy goal difference of 10. The same as Spurs. It shows you that this team is defensively solid, right? And actually 4 of those goals have actually come in 2 games. So 2 against Fulham and 2 against Tottenham Hotspur, which is unacceptable. We shouldn't be allowing that. So the beginning to the season is much more or less like to what we saw last campaign. Arsenal going 8 games unbeaten, going 10 games unbeaten. We could even go 20 games unbeaten this campaign. I don't see why we do not, right? I think this Liverpool side is struggling a little bit. They can be exposed. They create mistakes. Their midfield is a shambles when it comes to defensive ability, so you can expose them. Brighton, they have conceded 6 before, so we can actually go there with a lot of confidence and things like that. So guys, the title charge is on. We actually did blow the race wide open yesterday. We blew the race wide open. Now, it's gonna be very interesting to see how Arsenal deal with the lack of Saka. I mean, we don't know when he's coming back, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how we deal with the absence of Saka. Against Manchester City, that is not your performance. That is not your game, right? It's one game off the books. You do everything off the book, and you pick up a point or pick up 3 points. When we play against Chelsea, we will need to go back to our template. When we play against Bournemouth, we will need to go back to our template. When we play against Brentford, we'll need to go back to our template. And that is going to be the defining moment. Can Arsenal actually cope up with the absence of Saka? Can we cope up with the absence of our best player, right? Against Manchester City, we did. But again, we did so many things differently. We were not dominant. We had only 49% ball possession. Our passing ratio was 86. So you can see that we were trying to adapt to the new demands. Can Arsenal adapt to the new demands of playing without, Bukayo Saka? That's going to be a very big question. But a couple of shout-outs and a couple of good performances that I wanted us to talk about before we get out of this place. Ben White. Ben White had a very good game. Had a very, very good game. I think if you're an Arsenal fan and you've not rated Ben White, that was one of the performances to tell you, wow, this guy is good. He was really good in that game, like very, very good. And I thought he deserved a shout out. Gabriel Magalhaes was much better, like really much better than William Saliba. And many people will not have noticed because Saliba was tasked with taking Erling Haaland out of the game, and he was tasked with taking a striker that had no creativity and service for him out of the game. That's always easy. Well, the hard part about it, and the hard part with Gabriel, is Julian Alvarez. You've got to deal with that guy. You need to deal with that Argentine, stupid, very, very, very stubborn boy. And he actually did it very well. He actually did it very, very well, Gabriel. I thought his performance was very good. Declan Rice is a Rolls Royce of a midfielder. 105 million, well deserved. Really well deserved. I will speak about the 5 things we learned. We'll speak about Mikel Arteta's press conference as well, and we'll be reacting to some of the stories coming out about about the injury on Saliba and a couple of other stories. So stay tuned to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. I'll speak to you right in the next one.